In this book, I have tried to combine everything into one unforgettable story. I first came up with the idea for this book back in 2016. For the next 2 years, I came up with the characters, outlined various plots, and thought about what I wanted this book to be. The book was heavily inspired by scriptures, religion, philosophy, music, history, C.S. Lewis and Og Mandino, among other inspirational and motivational authors. It was also inspired by knights, legends, myths, folklore, seraphs, angelic visitations, supernatural powers, monsters, and myriad other historical events, locations, and people. In this book, I have tried to incorporate inspirational, motivational, and spiritual topics that teach values, morals, courage, and faith-filled Christian themes throughout the book. Thank you for listening to Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast. I am your host, Jerald Simon. I'm an author, poet, and composer. I am the founder of Music Motivation and the creator of How to Play Piano, the Fun Way, featuring essential piano lessons and my best-selling Essential Piano Exercises series and course. Today's podcast is titled, Look to the Light and Listen to the Music Within. And I'm so excited to have you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast on any streaming site available. But this is my weekly motivational, inspirational podcast that I release every Monday. It is titled Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast with Jerald Simon. And I can't wait for today's show. Today, I'm going to be talking about my most recent book, The Musical Realm. Now, this is The Musical Realm. It's available in Kindle version, ebook. It's available as a PDF. It's available as a paperback or a hardback copy as well. And today we're going to be talking about this book, in particular, the subtitle to The Musical Realm. It is Look to the Light and Listen to the Music Within. So for today's podcast, that is what we're going to be talking about. First off, we'll start with a welcome in the intro and introduce this book. Now, for that purpose, I'm actually going to share with you, those who are watching this on my YouTube channel, we're going to go to my website, musicmotivation.com. Now, on my website, musicmotivation.com, and this is something that I'm going to be sharing here for those who are watching this podcast. If you're listening, you can listen along. But if you go to my website, musicmotivation.com/musicalrealm, this page is what pops up right here. So I'm sharing the page and the website for you. Again, you go to musicmotivation.com/musicalrealm. And first it has, you can enter a free weekly giveaway where you can enter information to receive the free. You'll receive a free sample PDF, but every week we're giving away a free PDF or a free product from my website. But I want to talk about The Musical Realm as we are talking about why I wrote this book. It's my first full-length teen and young adult Christian fantasy book. It's a teen and young adult Christian action and adventure book. And so we're going to talk a little about The Musical Realm, the story I created, and explain why I created this story and what I'm hoping to share with the world about this. Now, on this page with my website, those of you who are viewing this, as you scroll down, I have a brief synopsis about The Musical Realm. Now, this is the same synopsis that is found on the back of the book. Let me read this to start off this podcast, and then we can talk a little about The Musical Realm, why I created this, and why I think our world desperately needs more peace and positivity. We need to look to the light of truth and listen to the music within, and we'll talk about that on the podcast today. This is what it says on the back of the book, and I have it right here pulled up for you, for those who are watching on the YouTube channel. It says the following. During his first piano lesson, Matthew, a 13-year-old boy, tells his new piano teacher, Mr. Darius, that he hates practicing the piano. The mysterious old piano teacher smiled slyly and proclaimed, as I said before, you will never truly enjoy practicing or playing the piano until you get inside the music. Puzzled, Matthew asked Mr. Darius what he meant. All of a sudden, the sheet music on the piano in front of him began to glow. The sound of thunder echoed from the music, and then a misty fog arose from the tattered and torn pages, and then mystically and magically filled the room. Without any warning, lightning burst from the music with a loud crack and immediately illuminated the room. All at once, multicolored beams of light instantly shot out from the old piano music in every direction, various hues of color and dust that Matthew thought must be fairy dust or something similar to it floated around the room. What is happening, Mr. Darius? Matthew screamed in terror. This is the start of your first piano lesson, Matthew. You are finally going to get inside the music and discover what it is all about, once and for all, my young friend, yelled Mr. Darius over the howling wind and the mysterious screams coming from within the music. It's time you learn the eternal importance of music, and you can only do so within the musical realm, explained Mr. Darius matter-of-factly. He smiled slyly, almost mischievously, and winked with his left eye. With that, Matthew was sucked into the musical score and instantly disappeared. Matthew enters a series of worlds unlike any he has ever seen before. His adventures take him on a search for the 7 sacred seraphs, the keepers of music. His only hope of getting home is to find the council of creativity and bring peace and order to the musical realm. Matthew learns how to look to the light and listen to the music within. He learns about the power of faith and overcoming the darkness of his fears. Now, I want you to think about that just for a moment. I want you to think about overcoming the darkness of your fears. What would that look like for you? This story is about Matthew, a 14-year-old teen boy. He plays piano, has played piano for a few years, and his parents sign him up for piano lessons with a new piano teacher, a strange, mysterious older gentleman named Markham Darius. Now, Mr. Darius lives in this castle-like manor, and during the first piano lesson, Matthew is not excited to be there, doesn't want to play the piano, and Mr. Darius can tell that the piano lesson is not going to happen. What happens next is interesting. Mr. Darius then tells Matthew he will never truly appreciate or enjoy playing the piano and music in general until he gets inside the music and discovers what it is all about. Matthew is sucked inside the musical score and enters a series of worlds, the musical realm, where he and friends of his he meets along the way in this new realm of existence must look for and find the council of creativity, the 7 sacred seraphs. I want to talk about this today, why I created the book, and what I hope readers will take away from this book. Several readers who have already started reading this book have talked about how this book is very similar to Narnia. And I love Narnia. You can't go wrong with C.S. Lewis. And so I love that. Many have said it's almost like a combination of Narnia, C.S. Lewis meets Augmendino, because the book is very inspirational and motivational. It is a fictional story. This is a fictional book, and there are 20 chapters. We have, let me see exactly how many pages, 332 pages in the book. It's a 6 by 9 inch book, and we're going to read a little from this book today and talk about how do we look to the light? How do we listen to the music within? And why should we look to the light? Why should we listen to the music within us? What does that even mean? We're going to discuss that today as we talk about what we can personally do, as Matthew learns in this book, to look to the light and listen to the music within. I'm going to go back to my website for a moment here, and I'm going to share this page for those who are watching this podcast on YouTube. Here's a little more information about the book. This is what it says. There are 5 books in the series. Now, I've only created book 1. I'm in the process of writing book 2 right now, and then we'll come out with books 3, 4, 5 later. But The Musical Realm is the first book in the series, followed by The Dismal Abyss, The Age of Enlightenment, The Realm of Realism, The Music Continues. I officially released this book on November 24th of 2025. The genre, it's a teen and young adult Christian fantasy, teen and young adult Christian action and adventure, teen and young adult Arthurian myths and legends. Those are the top 3 genres. It falls under a few different ones. The book was released, as I mentioned, the end of November, first part of December. It became the #1 new release on Amazon in about 12 different categories. My favorite, it was #1 new release in a Christian values category, which was wonderful. I mentioned before a little background of the book. Let me read this part right here. It says, several interviewers continually ask me about the inspiration for this book, The Musical Realm, or the various authors that inspired me in writing this book. Why did I write my first ever full-length teen and young adult Christian action and adventure fantasy book, The Musical Realm? And what do I hope the book accomplishes? This is a question I have received from several people with the launch of my new book. Here is another question I have received. What was your inspiration behind writing The Musical Realm? What do the next 4 books in this series hold for readers? Let me answer each of these questions. I'll condense and reword the question. Why did I write The Musical Realm, and what was my inspiration? What do the next books in this series look like? Here is my response to these questions. This is book 1 in a 5-book series. I have already outlined all 5 books. Many who have read this book, The Musical Realm, look to the light and listen to the music within, are comparing it to Narnia and C.S. Lewis. I love C.S. Lewis and have enjoyed reading his books my entire life. As the king of the musical realm declares in chapter 4 of my book, thou wilt embark on the quest of all quests, the journey of all journeys, and the adventure of many lifetimes. Adventure awaits each of us in the musical realm as we read and learn about looking to the light of faith and hope and learning how to listen to the music within ourselves. During his first piano lesson, Matthew, a 13-year-old boy, tells his new piano teacher, Mr. Darius, that he hates practicing the piano. The mysterious old piano teacher smiled slyly and proclaimed, "As I said before, you will never truly enjoy practicing or playing the piano until you get inside the music." Matthew gets sucked into the sheet music and enters a fantasy world known as the musical realm. Now, as a piano teacher myself, I love teaching about music theory, music history, and all things related to music. I also love religion, philosophy, history, music, art, poetry, gardening, self-help, inspiration, and motivation. In this book, I have tried to combine everything into one unforgettable story. I first came up with the idea for this book back in 2016. For the next 2 years, I came up with the characters, outlined various plots, and thought about what I wanted this book to be. I wasn't intending on publishing it at the time, since I had so many other books and albums I was working on at the time. The book was heavily inspired by scriptures, religion, philosophy, music history, C.S. Lewis and Og Mandino, among other inspirational and motivational authors. It was also inspired by musicians, artists, knights, legends, myths, folklore, seraphs, angelic visitations, supernatural powers, monsters, and myriad other historical events, locations, and people. In this book, I have tried to incorporate inspirational, motivational, and spiritual topics that teach values, morals, courage, and faith-filled Christian themes throughout the book to help teens and young adults develop greater faith to overcome their fears. I love being a motivational speaker and performing at events, playing the piano, singing, emceeing, acting, performing on stage, etc. I interact with large and small groups from homeschooled kids, school assemblies, teens, university students, various music teaching associations, organizations, church groups, religious events, firesides, businesses, and foundations. I love connecting with people and sharing my music, poetry, books, thoughts, and perspectives and life experiences with others. I love people. On my website and in every book I write, I share my own purpose and mission. My purpose and mission in life is to motivate myself and others through my music and writing, to help others find their purpose and mission in life, and to teach values that encourage everyone everywhere to do and be their best. In recent years, I've noticed an interesting change that has slowly come upon our society. This has happened throughout history and during each individual era of history and civilization. It is not unique to our society, but there are different and unique circumstances that are especially impacting our youth, teens, and young adults. There is far too much pessimism and apathy toward life. The negativity, frustration, anger, and hostility is rampant and quickly spreading. There is far too much fear and an ever-dwindling focus on faith, hope, peace, and positivity. Optimism is being overwhelmed and pessimism is poisoning far too many people. Negativity and its needlessness is becoming commonplace, and anger, hatred, and hostility are replacing kindness, love, and harmony. I believe we need more inspirational stories and motivational messages of hope, faith, peace, and positivity. Not just entertaining stories, which are good, but stories that entertain, educate, inspire, uplift, and were intentionally and purposefully written to change the reader for the better. These are transformational stories and help people transition from who they currently are to actively begin progressing toward the dream of who they can become. We need more stories that take the reader on a journey, a quest of their own self-discovery and self-improvement. I personally want to focus more on sharing messages of empowerment to become who we were born to be. It's about being better today than we were yesterday, and striving to be even better tomorrow than we are today. I began writing book 1 back in 2018 through 2019. I have worked on and off on finishing book 1 ever since. I started having the book reviewed and edited from 2024 through 2025. I personally printed out the book more than 30 times and had as many, if not more, drafts that I marked up, edited, and changed before having a professional editor edit the book. I have already outlined each of the chapters for all 5 of the forthcoming books in the series, including each chapter title and the synopsis for what happens in each chapter. I know the characters and plots of each book. I just need to finish writing the remaining books in their completed form. Since I mapped out the books in their entirety before writing them, when you read book 1, characters and plots and even seemingly insignificant details will make more sense as they reappear in books 2, 3, 4, and 5. Even one-sentence events that only happen in the book once will take on even more meaning in the subsequent books. Every detail from trees, fruits, musical instruments, necklaces, statues, artwork, and more are intentionally mentioned because they will play a pivotal role later on in future books. Every character, land, river, building, event, or experience in this book and future books in the series also relates somehow to music. Musical terms, art, history, philosophy, religion, and so forth. Some of the main characters, Saint Summer, Preston, and Matthew, are my children's names. Summer, Preston, and Matthew. Don't take anything for granted in this series. Everything has an intentional meaning and was thought out in advance before writing the book. Many of the allegories, parables, experiences, and key points of the story are based on actual experiences and events. This book can be read on multiple levels of interest and can be enjoyed by teens, young adults, and adults. I can't wait to have you read the series. The book is a teen and young adult Christian action and adventure fantasy book, so it intentionally focuses on faith, and you will see the parallels to biblical stories and characters, in addition to historical characters. The book is intentionally inspirational and motivational, and continually pushes the reader to focus on looking to the light of faith and overcoming the darkness of fear. The book includes kings, queens, knights, pirates, mystical and magical powers, beasts, monsters, all characters being personified, musical terms, or somehow applying to music, music theory, music history, the arts, and more. The book focuses on fear, faith, uncertainty, enlightenment, eternal wisdom, truth, goodness, and focuses on such varied topics as honor, courage, success, strength, willpower, leadership, possibilities, confidence, goal setting, optimism, rising above mediocrity, character, never doubting ourselves, being productive, learning from adversity, doing what it takes, being happy, seeing the good in others, forgiving, seeing our own potential and the potential in others, learning life's lessons, righting wrongs, becoming a self-starter, learning to control our thoughts, words, and deeds, and many more. Although this book is geared for teens and young adults, many adults who have started reading it love it as well. I try to teach values, morals, and principles all throughout the book. Yes, there are Christian themes and parallels scattered throughout the book as well, but this book is enjoyed by those who are not even religious because of the story of strength, determination, and triumph. Everything relates to music, looking to the light and listening to the music within. This book was written to inspire each of us to forgive our own mistakes and the wrongs others do, intentionally or unintentionally. It is about progressing along our personal path and quest for individual greatness. This book helps us take a look at ourselves, where we currently are in life and where we would like to go and ultimately arrive at our desired destination. It is about becoming who we were born to be. The motivational and inspirational messages are wrapped up in an awe-inspiring story of personal growth, change, and self-improvement. It is a fantasy, action, and adventure story of unlikely heroes who are empowered to accomplish unbelievable, unthinkable, and unforgettable experiences. I hope you will embark on the quest of all quests, the journey of all journeys, and the adventure of many lifetimes as you enter the musical realm. Always look to the light and listen to the music within. I'd love to have you read the book. And so that's just a little example, and then I have a few samples below where I explain about the book. We have some reviews, testimonials, and then I even have here on this page, Sweet Melancholy, which is a fun music book and album that I've created. And it goes along with the book. We're combining several different segments together because at the end of the book, and I don't want to give it away, but at the end of the book, Matthew is given a new piece of music to play to enter a new world, and that is The Dismal Abyss. And so that's the second book in the series. So it sets up what will happen in the next book. And I don't want to give anything away, but that will be the next book. My book, Sweet Melancholy, and the album Sweet Melancholy, features several pieces that Matthew is given. One, in particular, Shadows. And it's a piece from the book. There's also Sweet Melancholy and other various pieces from the book and album. Matthew learns how to play, and the music helps him as he is in the musical realm, the Dismal Abyss, all of the different locations where Matthew ends up through the course of this 5-book series. So today in this podcast, I'm going to talk about the music within and also how to look to the light. Now, it's the light of truth, light of faith, overcoming the darkness of fear. With this, with the positive perception that I like to focus on with each of my podcasts, after we do our intro and welcome, the positive perception is how we can take a positive idea, perception, and then we can expand upon that. I thought it would be fun for that to read a few of the paragraphs from this book. Again, motivational, inspirational messages. I'd like to start off by reading on page 56. This is actually a section where Matthew is waiting for someone to join his small group, a little band of righteous warriors that they have become. This is in chapter 4, again, page 56, and I'd like to read this for you. Listen to this. "I thought Lady Giselle said she would be right out," exclaimed Matthew, in a very upset and exasperated tone of voice. "What is taking her so long? She told us to meet her at the drawbridge gate beyond the castle walls. She specifically told us to wait for her by the living statues of sanctity at the head of the path that leads to promises untold. That was well over an hour ago or more. I thought she said she would grab a few things we needed for our journey and would quickly meet up with us. Why isn't she here yet? Do you think something happened to her? Or she decided not to go with us in search of the 7 sacred seraphs?" asked Matthew in a frustrated and anxious tone of voice. He wasn't asking anyone in particular, but he knew that if anyone had an answer, it would be Saint Summer. Matthew, patience proves the prudent. Always remember to enjoy each experience and take a moment to stop and truly see your surroundings as they are, and also as you hope they will be. Hurry not in haste, and you will assuredly arrive at your destination in due time according as it is designed. All will be as it should be. It always is. The woeful walk about and worry and often become wretched by their own willpower. Never forget that far too many people are poisoned by their own pessimism, and that pessimism profoundly pollutes their perspective. Once oblivious to optimism, these sorry souls inflict and infect others with their ineffective indulgence. It's ironic, isn't it? Every time someone complains, their complaints compel the individual to become a little more complacent, and even cowardly toward life. Always choose optimism over pessimism. It is the better option and always will be, said Saint Summer sweetly. And again, that's just a little taste of what happens in chapter 4. That's 2 paragraphs, maybe 2.5 paragraphs. Again, this is for a positive perceptions, but Matthew is starting to worry about things over which he has no control. And he's being a little pessimistic. And Saint Summer, as you read in the book, she is the guiding seer that has many eternal truths to share with this group, the warriors of righteousness. And so she shares and talks about how the woeful walk about in worry and often become wretched people by their own willpower. Think about that. We often become wretched people and are woeful because we're worrying and we're creating our own problems. She's trying to help Matthew understand to look to the light. Always choose optimism over pessimism. Now, I'd like to read on. This is actually later in the book, and this next section, this is found chapter 10. This is an interesting paragraph I'm going to read because it actually is said by a villain. It is said by the nemesis. Now, this is a character, his name is Fuoco Furioso. And even though he is teaching eternal truths, what he is saying is so profound, and it's interesting that it's coming from the villain of the book. But listen to what happens. He, in this section, I won't give everything away, but he's a little town, a small town, has been set on fire. And he is walking through the middle of this town, inflamed in the middle of the fires. Again, his name is Fuoco Furioso. And he represents evil and darkness, the devil. Listen to what he says, because the truths that he teaches here, they are profound. And again, it's coming from the villain, but listen to what he shares. Darkness and destruction are powerful allies and forces that no one can hinder or stop. Its power brings fear, frustration, and the foreboding feelings of being forsaken and overcome by an unstoppable power. People are pathetic, and I love watching the frantic and feeble fools run around as despair and devastation destroy them. Their faith fails them, and their fear enfolds them in my eternal flames of fire. When that happens, I have them. When they forsake their faith, my darkness and destruction destroy them. Once I have them in my grasp, then I can lead them through the darkness, and my darkness becomes their light. They see dimly, but deception doesn't mind, and they willingly wander and lose themselves in my darkness. When faith and hope are lost, most people lose their light completely. They no longer see the world as a beautiful and exciting experience. Everything is darkness for them, and they start spreading darkness wherever they go. They become my followers and faithfully go where their fear takes them. Once they stop listening to the music within, I can lure them away and easily lead them around wherever I please. They will be lost, for they will follow my deception even if it means their own demise, downfall, and ultimate destruction, promised the unknown voice. I hold the powers of depression and damnation in my hands and can inflict pain and suffering and then disguise it as darkened light. These lost souls eagerly consume my darkness, but it turns on them and quickly consumes their happiness, hopes, and dreams. Think about that for a moment. What would that be like? Think about the difference between light and dark. What happens when you have light and when you have darkness, and the difference between the two? I want you to think about that and think of what you are doing to look to the light and avoid the darkness of fear as you look to the light of truth, the light of faith, the light of hope, the light of peace and positivity. Think about that. It's an interesting and fascinating concept. I just have maybe one more that I'd like to read. There are several different experiences that these individuals experience as they go throughout their quest, their journey. Let me read this right here, actually. So this takes us near the end of the book. This is chapter 19. And again, these individuals have been on a quest. They've been trying to return to the Council of Creativity, get to the gates of freedom. And let me read what happens right here. This may sound a little interesting. They have been able to get... I'm trying to explain everything, describe things without giving everything away. They've been able to arrive at their destination, and now they are being taught by Summer about eternal truths of this destination, where they are, and what they can learn from their surroundings. So let me read this for you. It says the following. There is a celestial comfort that is given to all creations who abide on or reside in Cantus Musicus. You can hear all of the creations, plants, waters, animals, birds, insects, and everything that surrounds us singing their sublime songs. These are their hymns of exaltation. This floating island helps bring a pensive mood and allows for introspection and even daydreams as it fulfills your soul search. Some have referred to Cantus Musicus as the enchanted castle in the sky. A very fitting phrase, since this is often home to many angelic seraphs from all realms. In truth, there are many castles in the sky. They reside here and oversee the progression of the realms below, explained Saint Summer. What do you mean by the progression of the realms below, Saint Summer? Asked Matthew, who was a little confused. You see, resumed Saint Summer, all realms of existence are at various stages of their personal development and progression. There are countless realms that exist, and each realm and its inhabitants must progress. It is an eternal process in the progression of all realms to learn and grow, and also improve. Some realms are in the infantile stages of their development and progression, and they may seem uneducated because they have not advanced as much as other realms. But they will. All realms do. Some are merely more advanced and further along in their progression. As they all continue to advance physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, they are changed and even transformed into the best version of themselves. This includes everyone and everything. You do not merely exist for the sake of existing. There is a greater plan and purpose for all of the creations in all realms. It is a plan of happiness. Lady Giselle closed her eyes and wondered what her own plan of happiness might look like. Without realizing what she was doing, she began humming her own music within her. As she walked through the jungle, she felt a greater sense of peace and positivity in this jungle. She was genuinely happy. At night, Saint Summer continued, when you are stargazing at the firmament above you and you see the moon mist overshadowing your realm, you may imagine illusions or think ideas and begin to dream great dreams. Those thoughts, ideas, and dreams do exist and can and will become a reality for each of you as you set your sights on being the best version of yourself. You realize there are better and more powerful and profound thoughts you can think and better words you can speak. This changes the way you see and view your own realm of existence. This also changes what you choose to do with your time and also what and who you become, because you ascend to a higher realm of thinking and living. Even on the realms below us, there are those individuals within each realm who have already ascended in their minds to greater realms of existence, because their thoughts are holier and their actions are purer. Even though their realm has not progressed or advanced as a whole, these individuals have learned how to elevate themselves above the negative and destructive thinking of their current realm by thinking and living as if they were in a celestial realm. They have learned how to be in their realm but not of their realm. They have chosen to rise above the darkness of their surroundings and essentially become new creatures, exclaimed Saint Summer. Now, this entire book, again, this book is all about becoming more Christ-like. It's about overcoming our natural tendencies, our weaknesses, our limitations. It's about being the best version of ourselves. It's about progressing and improving, being better today than we were yesterday. That is a common perspective, common thread, common thought, common focus of this podcast that we talk about. Being better today than we were yesterday and becoming even better tomorrow than we are today. That is what the musical realm is all about. It's a story. Now, I wrote it with teens and young adults in mind, but adults are loving this book. I would love to have you read this book. Again, it's available as a Kindle book, as an ebook, as a PDF book. It's available as the paperback book. It's available as a hardback book. Right now, I am recording the audio book, so I am reading the book in its entirety, and I will come out with the audio book in a month or two, and can't wait to have you listen to that if you'd like to listen to the audio book. The book is the first book in the series. There are 5 books in the series, and we follow Matthew and his friends on this journey, this quest to become better. And so I would love to have you check out the musical realm. Let me know what you think about it. I would love to get your feedback and your thoughts about the musical realm. For that kind of covered the positive perceptions and the motivation in a minute. Right now, I'd like to actually go to the music within portion of this podcast. And I've shared this before on the podcast, but I would like to share something I composed and wrote titled, I Believe God Has a Plan for Me. Now again, I believe God has a plan for you. I believe God has a plan for me. I believe God has a plan for everyone. And I want you to know that your plan is perfectly made for you, just as my plan is perfectly made for me. So let me share, I believe God has a plan for me. And with this video, I'm going to share my YouTube video. I'll include it here in this podcast, so you can watch it right now, and then we'll finish the podcast in a few minutes. But this is, I believe God has a plan for me. And I would love to have you watch this music video, listen to the music. I'm singing, so I'm the one singing, and I compose the piano music. I'm playing the piano and all the keyboards, and then I have live musicians who are performing several of the other instruments, guitar, drums, the electric bass. But listen to I Believe God Has a Plan for Me. Let me know what you think and feel as you listen to this. You helped me believe when I couldn't see. I believe that God has a plan for me. With God's help, I know that I can change. It's time for me to stand up for what I believe, that God loves and blesses me. I'll stand with God and I will share His message of hope and love, that He hears my prayers above. And when I need His help today, I'll kneel on my knees and pray for heaven's help. I know I'm not alone. You helped me believe when I couldn't see. I believe that God has a plan for me. With God's help, I know that I can change. You are my strength, you are my light, and with your help I will stand and fight. You rescued me, now it's my turn to help someone today. When I was lost, when I was scared, you held my hand and I knew you cared. And if you need me now, today, then I will stand and say, I believe, and now I see. You helped me believe when I couldn't see. I believe that God has a plan for me. With God's help, I know that I can change. For the poetry that motivates portion of this podcast, I would like to read a motivational message, a poem that I wrote from my book, Poetry That Motivates. Now, this is titled, Befriend the Failure You Fear. It's found on page 11 from the book. Let me read this to you. This is what it says. Befriend the failure you fear. Do not fear failure. Befriend the failure you fear. Failure can become a dear friend if you let it, but most fear failure and eventually regret it. Failure is not a folly fool to be avoided and dreaded and cursed. It is a gift we have been given so we might improve the performance we've daily rehearsed. Each step backwards is a friendly failure, not a foe to be beaten and bruised. For with each failure we learn something new, though most feel discarded and used. Do not let failure frighten you. Face it with faith and might. Encourage it and learn from it, for each failure can bring you new light. And again, that is Befriend the Failure You Fear. That is from my book, Poetry That Motivates. It has original motivational poems that I've written, but I'd love to have you check that out. Thank you so much for watching this podcast, for listening to the podcast on your various podcast streaming sites. Every Monday, I come out with a new podcast to help individuals receive direction, inspiration, to focus on peace and positivity, to overcome the negative nemesis, the needless nemesis of negativity, to do everything we can to be better today than we were yesterday and strive to become even better tomorrow than we are today. I'd like to end with 5 actionable steps that I would like you to take this week to be better today than you were yesterday. Now, most of these come from either my Poetry That Motivates poem I read to you, or from my book, The Musical Realm. Little insights, but 5 actionable steps you can start doing today to be better, to help you look to the light and listen to the music within. Action step number 1. Look to the light of truth in all things. Always try to find the truth, live the truth, look to the light. And then as you do so, follow the truth. Be true to the truth. It's pretty simple. Look for truth, learn truth, and live truth. So that's actionable step number 1. Look to the light of truth in all things. Action step number 2. Listen to the music within yourself. Now, often I talk about the Comforter, the Holy Ghost, a member of the Godhead, who can inspire us and direct us and teach us and prompt us and bring things to our remembrance. Well, the music within you, that's what the music within you is. It's that still small voice. It's that comforter. Some people refer to it as a conscience, and you have your conscience to help you, to guide you. Think of how you can be better if you listen to the music within you. And the music within you will teach you and comfort you and direct you differently than the music within me. It will always help us look to the light of truth, but we are each on our own individual path. It's our own individual quest, just as I mentioned in the musical realm. Actionable step number 3, stop worrying about things over which you have no control. Stop worrying about things over which you have no control. If you can control it, control it. If you can do something about it, do what must be done to either remedy or fix or correct the situation. If there is nothing you personally can do, it's in God's hands. There's nothing you should do. All you can do is have faith, pray, hope, and then be comforted with the celestial comfort and have peace in your heart. That is what you can do. But do not worry about things over which you have no control. It will not change it. In the book, I have a few paragraphs where Matthew is remembering something his dad has shared with him. His dad's kind of a motivational speaker, and his dad talks about, or had shared with Matthew, that if there's a solution to a problem, then you can solve the problem. If there isn't a readily fixable, workable solution to the problem, then obviously the problem can't be remedied or fixed at the present time, so there's no point in worrying about whatever problem is facing you. We have problems each day, problems that need solutions, and there are so many working solutions that we can give and we can provide, and we can actually do our part to overcome the obstacles in our life. But if there are problems that are either too big for us, maybe we need to have help from someone else. Maybe they then become the solution to our problem because we can't fix it on our own. Maybe there are problems that are too big for us or others. And then we have to put that problem in God's hands and allow Him to change us for the better. That is what we can do, but we cannot and should not worry about things over which we have no control. So that is step number 3. Step number 4, decide to choose optimism over pessimism. Always choose optimism over pessimism. Again, pessimism is a poison. It's a needless nemesis. Don't be pessimistic. Be an optimist. Look to the light of truth. Seek the best things in life. Do your best. Don't worry about problems. Come up with solutions, but don't be weighed down by the weight of worry. Oftentimes you're worrying about things that will even never happen. And so it's just wasted time and energy. Again, decide to choose. You need to make that decision, and then you need to make the choice. Once you've decided, make that choice. Live with the choice you have chosen, the decision you have made, and then always focus on optimism over pessimism. And then step number 5, the last step, have an eternal perspective with your own eternal progress. Again, the musical realm, look to the light, listen to the music within. It's about a quest, a journey that this guy right here, Matthew, this is the sacred scepter of sanctity. Matthew and his friends that he meets in the musical realm go on an adventure. It's the venture of a lifetime, the adventure of many lifetimes. He is on a search for goodness, for the 7 sacred seraphs. He needs to find the counsel of creativity. He is searching and trying to be better. Now, along the way, yes, he encounters pirates in pirate ships that fly and dragons, and there are knights and kings and queens and castles and beasts and ogres and all of these interesting, fascinating adventures. And that's just book 1. But it's something that helps him learn how to look to the light and listen to the music within. This book is available on Amazon and all different sites. You can go to any site, whether it's barnesandnoble.com, walmart.com. The PDF book is available from my website, musicmotivation.com. I'd love to have you check it out. On the homepage, you'll see a page that will take you to a direct link. You can just go straight to musicmotivation.com/musical realm. And that will take you directly to the link on the website where you can read more about the book, about the characters. And you can purchase the PDF download. You can buy the paperback book. You can buy the paperback or hardback book from Amazon. It's available on iTunes, SmashCloud, Google, you name it. It's everywhere you would like to purchase the book. Check out the book. Let me know what you think, but I would love to get your feedback and hear your thoughts on what you are personally doing to look to the light of truth. How can you look to the light of faith to overcome your fears? How can you listen to the music within, the swelling and stirring of your soul as you are striving to look to the light of Jesus Christ? Just as the music video I shared and the song I wrote, I believe God has a plan for me. I believe God has a plan for you. That's what life is all about. It's a plan of happiness, a plan of salvation. It's a plan to help teach us how to be better, how to be more Christ-like. Listen to the music within. Look to the light. As you do those very simple and basic, foundational and fundamental steps that will help you progress to be more successful spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. You can be taking steps that you need to take to do your best, to be better today than you were yesterday, and continually strive to be better tomorrow. Hope you enjoy that. Thank you again for watching this podcast on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jerald Simon, or for listening to this podcast on any of the streaming sites available. The podcast is available on all podcast platforms. It is music, motivation, and more. The Positivity Podcast with Jerald Simon. Love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Love to have you subscribe to my website, musicmotivation.com. Love to have you check out all of my various books that I've come out with on any platform you prefer, whether it's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any other platform. I'd love to have you do your best, that you can be better in everything you do. And as you do that, I know you will continually look to the light and listen to the music within. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a wonderful week. Thank you again for watching and listening to this podcast. Have a great day. Thanks again. You're wonderful. See you. Bye. Subscribe to Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast, to receive updates of each new weekly podcast produced and released by Jerald Simon. A new podcast is recorded and released on Mondays. Listen on any podcast platform of your preference. But I'd love to have you listen to my music as well. You can listen to my music and find my artist name, Jerald Simon, Jerald Simon. You can listen on Spotify, on Pandora, Apple Music, Amazon, all the different streaming platforms. I would love to have you check out my YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/Jerald Simon. JeraldSimon. I have Motivation in a Minute and poetry that motivates videos that I have produced, in addition to my own music videos and music educational instructional tutorials that I've created to help teach music the fun way. I'd love to have you check it out. I'd love to connect with you on social media. You can connect with me on any social media platform. You can go to facebook.com/Jerald Simon. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the different social pages at Jerald Simon. JeraldSimon. But I'd love to have you check out my music. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a great day.